The first $10,000 is the hardest money you will ever save in your entire life. It feels like an uphill battle where every step forward is met with 2 steps back. You save a few hundred and then your car breaks down. You save $1,000 and an unexpected bill arrives. It's frustrating, and honestly, it's why most people never actually reach this milestone. But once you hit that 5-digit mark, everything changes. Your stress drops, your decisions change, and opportunities that were once invisible suddenly start appearing everywhere. This isn't just about becoming rich, it is about becoming stable. Most people spend their entire lives in survival mode, but $10,000 is the psychological turning point where you finally stop playing defense and start playing offense. This amount of money changes your mindset permanently because it proves to your brain that you are no longer a victim of your circumstances. The rich think differently, and that shift in perspective starts exactly at this number. Saving $10,000 is a massive psychological milestone because it represents your first real financial cushion. For the majority of the population, life is lived paycheck to paycheck, which means they are always one bad week away from total disaster. When you reach $10,000, you are no longer part of that statistic. This is the first time you truly feel a sense of control over your money. Before $10,000, you're in survival mode. Every dollar is allocated to a past debt or a present necessity. You are constantly looking backward or at your feet. But after $10,000, you enter planning mode. You can finally lift your head up and look at the horizon. Unexpected bills that used to cause a week of lost sleep now barely register as a nuisance. A car repair is no longer a catastrophe that ruins your month. It's just a line item you handle with ease. Even the fear of losing your job begins to decrease because you know you have months of runway. But the biggest change isn't actually the number in your bank account, it's the way your brain rewires itself. This leads us to the first major change. Your stress levels drop dramatically. There is a specific kind of low-level anxiety that comes with having a low bank balance. It's an emotional weight that follows you into your work, your relationships, and even your sleep. When you have less than $1,000, you are constantly checking your balance before every purchase. You avoid opening certain envelopes or emails because you're afraid of what they might contain. After you save $10,000, that panic is replaced by a sense of breathing room. You develop a new type of confidence. You aren't constantly calculating how many days are left until the next payday. This mental clarity is a superpower in wealth building. When you aren't stressed about basic survival, your brain is free to think about growth. You sleep better because the what-if scenarios that used to haunt you at 2:00 a.m. now have a clear financial solution. But the real power of $10,000 is what it lets you do next. The second major change is that you stop making desperate decisions. When you have no money, you are forced to make choices based on short-term survival rather than long-term benefit. This is often called the scarcity mindset. You might take a job you hate just because you need the signing bonus, or you might stay in a toxic work environment because you can't afford to be unemployed for even a single week. You might use high-interest credit cards or payday loans because you have no other choice, effectively trading your future wealth for today's survival. With $10,000 in the bank, you can say no. You have the power to walk away from bad deals. You don't have to sell your items cheaply just to get cash quickly. You move from a scarcity mindset to a stability mindset. This is the moment where money starts creating freedom. You aren't just buying things, you are buying the right to choose your own path. Change number 3 is that opportunities become available to you that were previously out of reach. There is a famous saying that money creates options, and $10,000 is the minimum entry fee for many of those options. This is the leverage effect. With this amount, you can finally afford to start a side hustle that requires a little bit of upfront capital. You can move to a better area where the job market is stronger. You can invest in high-level courses or certifications that could double your income. You can buy the equipment you need to take your freelance work to the next level. When you have $0, you can't even afford to fly to an interview in a different city. When you have $10,000, you have the mobility to go where the money is. $10,000 buys opportunity, not luxury. It is the seed money for your future self. As you hold on to this capital, you experience the fourth change. You start thinking long term. When you are struggling to pay rent this week, it is impossible to plan for where you want to be in 5 years. Your brain isn't wired to think about the future when the present is on fire. Once the fire is out, thanks to your $10,000 cushion, your mental shift moves from weekly survival to yearly planning. You start looking at an investing mindset. You begin to think about retirement accounts and compound interest. Your goal setting improves because your goals are no longer just pay the bills. You start thinking about career investments and skill building. You begin to ask yourself, where do I want to be in 2030, rather than just how do I get to Friday? This forward-thinking perspective is what separates those who build wealth from those who just work for it. And this leads to the biggest change of all. Change number 5 is that for the first time in your life, your money starts working for you. This is the introduction to the beginner investing mindset. Up until this point, every dollar you ever had came from your time and labor. But once you have $10,000, you can move a portion of that into assets. Whether it's a high-interest savings account, an index fund, or a small business venture, you start to see the magic of compound growth. Even if it's just a few dollars of interest a month at first, the realization is profound. You made money while you were sleeping. Your emergency fund starts to transform into an investment fund. This is the first time your money grows without effort. It's a small snowball, but it is rolling. Once you see your money making more money, you never want to go back to just trading hours for dollars. Nobody discusses the hidden reality. $10,000 is a life-changing milestone, but it won't make you rich or solve your issues. In reality, this level presents new challenges. The biggest is lifestyle temptation. A 5-digit bank account may give you a false sense of security. Maybe you think, I can finally afford that new car or that expensive vacation. The lifestyle creep trap. Spending $10,000 on consumer items puts you back where you started, but with more expensive tastes. Inflation means $10,000 doesn't buy as much, so be disciplined. $10,000 is the starting line, not the finish. It supports your home, not the house. How to reach $10,000 faster. You need 2 approaches. Start with income growth. Low-income people struggle to save for riches. Consider side jobs, freelancing, or skill upgrades to increase your compensation. The main goal is to grow your income to spending gap. Second, limit expenses strictly. Focus on your biggest waste categories, such dining out and unused subscriptions, and cut fixed costs. Automating saving is straightforward. When you check at the end of the month, there's usually nothing to save. You must first pay yourself. Set up an automatic transfer when your paycheck arrives. However, saving the initial $1,000 aggressively makes $10,000 practically certain. This initial $1,000 functions as a mini buffer to protect you from tiny emergencies. After $1,000, automate the rest. Use a percentage saving strategy to deposit a certain amount of each dollar you make into a non-debit card account. Absent, forgotten. Systems always outperform motivation. Motivation fades, but a system works even when you're sleepy. Create a mechanism that automatically withdraws money from your spending hand to achieve $10,000 when, not if. Looking ahead, $10,000 will make $100,000 easier in many ways. The first $10,000 is toughest since you must form habits, discipline, and mentality from start. Fighting your former self is necessary. The system is in place for the next $10,000. Momentum exists. You've shown yourself you can build wealth. You gain confidence and talents. The financial snowball accelerates. Don't only save money, build a legacy. A person who saves $10,000 can save $100,000 and more. $10,000 changes everything, but not because of the figure. The person you had to become to get there matters. It's about your discipline, sacrifices, and worldview change. $10,000 is independence, not just money. It marks the transition from survival to building. This is when you discover you can shape your financial future. This milestone will change your view of money forever because you'll finally know what it's like to have your money work for you. Maintain your discipline and watch your world change.